Get away from her, you bitch!
Fail, 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 pass, though some might disagree, only just, fail, and pass. Hey guys, hope you are going well. So yes, they are the top rated movies ever as according to IMDb's top 250 list, and I was putting them through what's known as the Bechdel Test. I did study film history and film theory at university, so I have read and researched quite a lot about this test. But just recently I came across an article that was posted in Indiewire which put the top grossing films from 2016 through this test. So I wanted to make my own video discussing this fascinating yet somewhat controversial test. First and foremost, just what is the Bechdel test? Now, without going into a major history lesson, the test was created by cartoonist Alison Bechdel in the 80s and can now be used as a measure to look at gender portrayal in movies. The rules for the test are so simple, it will blow your mind. Rule number one, the film needs to have at least 2 female characters in it who have names, so they can't just be called waitress number 1 and waitress number 2. Rule number 2, these female characters with names need to have a conversation with one another. Lastly, rule number 3, this conversation can be about anything as long as it does not involve a man. Is your mind blown by how simple that test is and how that test even exists and is needed in today's society in order to evaluate stereotypes and gender representation in films? If you can't believe just how crazy simple this test is, you will also not be able to believe just how many of your favorite and popular films fail 1, 2, or all 3 of the guidelines of this test. Critics against this test call it extremely reductive, and admittedly that is true. But bear in mind the test was created as a satirical comment, so it should not be used as a catch-all or a blanket policy when saying if something is good or bad at representing females in film. But by all means, it is a fascinating starting point from which to grow an entirely new discussion and conversation about how women really are represented not only in film but in our society as well. All of this is all to be taken with a grain of salt. Bear in mind here that the top 10 grossing films from 2016 came from a very small genre pool. You've got 4 superhero action movies, 4 animation movies, and 2 sci-fi fantasy movies. Captain America Civil War, pass. Finding Dory, pass. Zootopia, pass. The Jungle Book, fail. The Secret Life of Pets, fail. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, fail. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, pass, only just. Deadpool, fail. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a pass. And Suicide Squad was a pass. Now, it's really great that most of these films did actually pass the Bechdel test, but we can look at it and break it down a little bit further and find some equally very interesting results. Now, the Indiewire article, which I mentioned earlier that I came across that just caught my attention and inspired me to kind of make this video in the first place, had the headline, "Women spoke just 27% of dialogue in 2016's top grossing movies." And I was like, what? Is that not just like an obscene statistic? Specifically, the article took a very critical eye against Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and the main female protagonist, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. An awesome movie, by the way, I have reviewed it. But however, for the purpose of this discussion, how this amazing warrior woman, action hero Jyn Erso, is pretty much surrounded by men in all of her scenes. As Princess Leia was in the Star Wars films before her, Jyn Erso has little to no dialogue with any other females in the movie. And look, it's just an observation, it's not a criticism per se, it's just an interesting spark for a conversation, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Digging back a little bit further to where this particular Indiewire article got its data and information from, I came across a blog by Amber Thomas, who calls herself the professional question asker, and she spent so much time inputting all the data from the top 10 highest grossing movies worldwide of 2016 and created this incredible interactive graph. So it's this axis-free bubble chart that she created using Illustrator, and it's just fascinating to see how she's broken down the female and male characters into these little bubbles, and then you can separate them out using this sort of slider bar. Seriously, I'm going to leave a link down below. You should go check it out, and it's just amazing that she's put so much work into creating this interactive graph, which just shows representation of the genders in a really fun and different way. And the most interesting takeaway from this collection of data is that of these top 10 films, not one of them had 50% speaking female cast. Now, Finding Dory was the closest to a level of gender equality with 43% of female characters, and Rogue One was unfortunately the worst with only 9% of its speaking characters female. The whole topic is just absolutely fascinating, and yes, I do personally think that there does need to be a more conscious push for female representation and well-rounded characters in film and the way that they are portrayed, but I do think that we are on the right path. So I do think it's happening. It's a slow process. It's not going to happen overnight that you're going to get 50-50 gender equality and female characters and the equal amount of dialogue spoken between those two genders. It's not quite like that, but I do think we are going in the right direction. This entire discussion has been about female representation in front of the camera. I could have a whole separate discussion about females in the film industry behind the camera, because I work in production and I see it with my own eyes. It's a very male-dominated and male-skewed industry, there's no doubt about it. I do think that there are a lot more females in the industry now than there were 10 years ago, obviously, but we still have a ways to go. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for joining me in this really interesting discussion. Why don't you leave me comments in the comment section down below? What do you guys think of the Bechdel test? Do you think it is an important benchmark, or do you think it is somewhat reductive when it comes to looking at female portrayal and representation on screen? I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to my channel and keep up to date with my movie and TV reviews, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.